Hello, hello. We are back with Chapter 9, Measurement and Geometry, focusing on Lesson 6, Surface Area of Prisms and Cylinders. Today, this is the guided practice, and so we're going to be finding the surface area of each prism. So let's go ahead and start with number 1. So if we look at that, we're finding the area of all the surface, how much area is on each one of the surfaces. And if you can remember, this looks like a rectangular prism, which has 6 faces. There's one here in the front and the back that are the same. There's 2 of those. There's one on the top and on the bottom. Those are 2 more faces that are identical. And then one on this side and also on this side right here. So there's 2 sides. So that's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we have to find the area of each one of those 6 surfaces and then add them all together. So let's start with the, right here, the front and the back. So the area of the front and back. Now, since they're exactly the same, the front and the back right here, we can multiply it by 2. So we're going to go 2 times length times width, right? Because the area of a rectangle is length times width, where our length is 4 and our width is 2. And then we're just going to go ahead and substitute that in. So 2 times 4 times 2. We have to do order of operations, parentheses first. So 2 times 8. And then that becomes 16. So that means the area of the front and back is a total of 16 inches squared. Area is always squared. Okay, perfect. Let's go on to the next one. How about we do the top and the bottom? So I'm going to look here we're going to find the area of the top and bottom. Okay, again, it's the same formula. There's 2 of them that are exactly the same. This bottom is the same as the top. They have the same dimension. So 2 times length times width, because there's 2 of them. Our length is going to be 6, and our width is 2. Okay, now we're just going to go ahead and substitute those in. And we get equals 2 times, the length is 6 times 2 equals 2. We got to do the parentheses. 6 times 2 is 12. And then 2 times 12 is 24 inches squared. And that's the area of top and bottom. Okay, so we did the front and the back, the top and the bottom. Now we just need to do the sides. Where are we going to do that? Let's go ahead and do it over here. So the area of the sides is going to equal 2 times, the sides are both rectangles again, so the area of a rectangle is length times width, where the length equals the sides. Okay, so the length equals 6 and the width equals, so this would be, this side has 6, it's by 4 up, so it'd be 6 by 4, so the width is 4. So that means we're going to substitute those things in. 6 in for L, 4 in for W. We get 2 times 6 times 24 is 24. And then 24 times 2, let me see, 24 times 2, 2 times 4 is 8, 2 times 2 is 4. So it's 48 inches squared. That's the area of the sides. So, all right, we have the area of all 6 sides, okay? And so now we just need to find the surface area. We need to add up all of these areas of the surface. So let's go ahead and do that. So the surface area equals 48 plus 16 plus 24. That means that the surface area equals, I'm going to take these up here and add them. So 48 16, 24. Okay, 4 plus 6 is 10, plus 8 is 18. I always like finding something that equals 10 because then it just makes it easier. Instead of going 8 plus 6 is 14 and then adding the 4. Like when you notice that 6 plus 4 is 10 and then you add 8 to it, it just makes it nicer if you can find something that equals 10. And then we have, 4 plus 2 is 6, 7, 8. So the total surface area is 88 inches squared. Okay? And that's how that works. So perfect. I want you to go ahead and get started on 2. This is another rectangular prism. You're going to find the surface area in a similar fashion to this. So use this as your guide and go ahead and get started. So now's your time to pause and work out problem number 2. Show all your work, show all your steps, all that fun stuff. And then when you get done, press play and we'll go over the problem. All right, see you in a bit. All right, we're back. Let's go ahead and get started on problem 2. I'm going to go ahead and just make a line down for separation between these 2 problems. Okay, let's go. Remember, this is a rectangular prism. Each face is a rectangle, so we have to find the area of each face, and there's 6 of them. So I'm going to go and start with the area of the, let's do the front and the back. So area of front and back equals, and there's 2 of them, right, that are exactly the same. This is the front and then that back one have the same dimensions. So it's going to be 2, since there's 2 of them, times length times width. And the length is 10, so L equals 10. And then the width of the front is 5. Now, if you made the length 5 and the width 10, it really doesn't matter, just as long, because we're multiplying, just as long as you have that written down for the front and the back. Okay, so we're going to substitute in, so 2 times 10 times 5, and solve. 10 times 5 is 50, so 2 times 50 equals 100 centimeters, and we're talking about area, so it's going to be squared. So that's the area of the front and back is 100 centimeters. So those are 2 sides down. We have 4 more to go. The front and the back are done. Perfect. Let's go to the, how about the top and the bottom? So I'm going to go over here. The area of the top and bottom equals, there's 2 of them, the top and the bottom are exactly the same dimension, so it's going to be 2 times length times width. I'm going to go ahead and define my variables. For the top, right here, the top, the length of that is the same as right here, so that's 10. So L equals 10, and then the width is going to be right here, which is going to be 3. Okay? And then we go ahead and substitute those values in. We get 2 times 10 times 3. 2 times 10 times 3 is 30. And then 2 times 30 is 60. 60 centimeters squared is the area of the top and bottom. Okay, both of those combined, that's what that is. Okay, so we did the front and the back, the top and the bottom. The only one that's left would be the sides. So we're going to do the area of the sides. Again, the sides are rectangles, and there's 2 of them that are exactly the same. So we're going to go 2 multiplied by the area of a rectangle is length times width. So length of this side, so here are the dimensions right here, 5 and 3. So we'll just call the length 5 and the width 3. But if they're reversed, it would be completely okay. We're going to substitute the values in. And we end up with 5 times 3 is 15. 2 times 15 is 30. So we have 30 centimeters squared. And that is the area of the sides. All right, Perfect. So we have 2 faces here, 2 faces here, 2 faces here. That's all 6. So now it's time to do the surface area. So the surface area is found by adding up all of these 6 faces. So we have 100 plus 60 plus 30. And then we just add up all those numbers. And 60 plus 30 is 90, plus 100 is 190. So it's going to be 190 centimeters squared. That is our answer. So if you got that right and you showed all your work and you wrote all your equations down and defined your terms, great job. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the next. We're going to find the surface area of each cylinder to the nearest whole number. So if you remember in the lesson, cylinders are comprised of 2 circles, right? And so we want to find the area, so we have to find the area of those circles, and there's 2 of them, and they're exactly the same. And then this other bit right here is one really, really big, long rectangle, which is, so you're going to do the length times width to find the area of a rectangle. So this is going to be the width, and then the tricky part is the length is the circumference of that circle, okay? So let's just go ahead and do this first one together. So we're going to find the area of the circles first, and there's 2 of them, right? So area of circles equals 2, since there's 2 of them, times the area of a circle, remember, is pi r squared. Okay, now we just need to figure out what that, define our term. Our radius is equal to 5. And then we substitute the values in. And we get 2 times pi, which we're going to use 3.14. And then, so that's going to make it approximate. When we do that, put in 3.14 times 5 squared. Okay. So let's go ahead and simplify this. So I'm going to do the exponents first. So this is really 2 times 3.14 times 5 squared is the same thing as 5 times 5, which is equal to 25. Okay, and all of these things are multiplied by each other. So I'm going to actually multiply the 2 times 25 first because it's going to make life easier. 2 times 25 is going to be 50. So it's going to be 50 times 3.14. Now, I don't know what that is off the top of my head, so I'm just going to go up here up to the side and do that work. I'm going to put 3.14 on top because it has more digits. 1, 2, 3, and 50 only has 2. And then we have a 0, so we can just write that 0. And then we start with the 10. So 5 times 4 is 20. Write the 0, carry the 2. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 is 7. 5 times 3 is 15. We have 2 decimal places here in our problem. That means in our answer there's going to be 2 decimal places. So it ends up being the area of the circles ends up being approximately 157 centimeters squared. Okay, so we have both the circles done. Now we need to go ahead and find the area of that rectangle. So we know that the area of the rectangle is going to be, I'll say area of rectangle. Area of rectangle is equal to length times width, okay? And the length is equal to 2 pi r, right? The circumference of this circle. That's going to be the length of that rectangle. And our radius is equal to 5. So that means it's going to be equal to 2 pi times 5, right? Because we substitute that 5 in for the r. And then I can multiply that. 2 times 5 is actually equal to 10 pi. So the length is equal to 10 pi, and then the width is just equal to 10, right? The width of it. So let's go ahead and substitute those values in, we get 10 pi times 10. And I'm going to multiply the 10 by 10 first. So 10 times 10 is 100. We have 100 times pi is 3.14. When I stick that in, it needs to be approximate. And then when you multiply anything by 100, you can move it over decimal places. So if you multiply this by 10, then it would be 31.4. But if you multiply it by 100, it would be, you move it over 1, 2, and it would be 314. And I'll show you. So if we went ahead and we did that problem, 3.14 times 100, we put the 0 there, we put the 0 there, and then we go 1 times 4 is 4, 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 3 is 3, and then there are 2 decimal places, which means there's 2 decimal places in their answer. So we end up with 314. But whenever you move this one way or the other, if you move it this way and it gets bigger, you're multiplying it by a power of 10. If you're moving it this way, you're dividing by a power of 10. So it's a really quick way to multiply. If you're multiplying by 100, this is a power of 10. That would be to multiply it by 10. And if you move it 2 places, that would be to multiply it by 100. So there we go. We have the area of the rectangle is 314 centimeters squared. Okay, area of rectangle. Now to find the surface area, we just need to add these numbers up. So the surface area is going to equal 157 plus 314. And I'm just going to take that right here. 157 plus 314 is 7 plus 4 is 11, right? The 1, carry the 1. 5 plus 1 is 6, plus 1 is 7. 3 plus 1 is 4. So that means the surface area is equal to 471 centimeters squared. All right? Okay, perfect. So now it is your turn to go on and try problem 4. This is a cylinder. It's just upright instead of side to side. You're going to be doing the same thing that we just did. So go ahead and pause. Show all your work like we did now. And when you get done, oh, there's our friend the pause dragon. Remind us to pause. And when we get done, go ahead and press play and we'll see how you did. All right, see you in a bit. Okay, we're back. Let's go ahead and see how you did on problem 4. I'm going to go ahead and draw a line down just to separate the 2 problems here. Okay. All right. Okay, so problem 4. Excuse me. We have 2 circles. Okay, so let's find the area of the circles first. So area of circles is going to be the formula. There's 2 of them, right? So I'm going to go 2 times the area of a circle is pi r squared. Our radius is equal to 3. So I'm going to define that term. Radius equals to 3, and then I'm going to substitute everything in. So we have 2 times pi is 3.14. When I do that, this needs to be approximate, times 3 squared. 3 is in for r. So 3 squared is the same thing as 3 times 3, which is 9. We have to do the exponents first because of the order of operations. So we have approximately 2 times 3.14 times 9. And then I'm going to go ahead, since this is all multiplication, it doesn't matter what order I do. So I'm going to go 2 times 9, which is 18. So approximately 18 times 3.14. Okay. Now I'm just going to go ahead and do that work up here. So 3.14 times 18. 8 times 4 is 32. Write the 2, carry the 3. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 3 is 11. Write the 1, carry the 1. 8 times 3 is 24, plus 1 would be 25. Now I'm going to move over to the tens place, so I need to put a 0 in the ones place. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 3 is 3. I go ahead and add these. I get 2 plus 0 is 2. 1 plus 4 is 5. 5 plus 1 is 6. And 2 plus 3 is 5. Now I need to figure out where that decimal goes. So I have 2 decimal places here. That means the decimal is going to go 2 places there. And so we end up with the area of the circles is equal to 56.52 feet squared. Area of the circles. Okay, perfect. Uh-oh. Kind of messed up on my box a little bit there. but that's okay. All right, cool. Let's go ahead and find the area of the rectangle now. So the area of the rectangle is going to be length times width, right? This portion here. It would be length times width. And the length is equal to the circumference of this circle, which is equal to 2 pi r. And r is equal to 3. So we're going to substitute. It's going to be 2 pi times 3. And then we can multiply 2 times 3, which would be 6 pi. That's what our length equals. And then our width is equal to 9. Our width is equal to 9. Okay? We're going to go ahead and substitute those values in. So we get 6 pi. That's our length times our width is 9. I'm going to do the order 6 times 9 first. That's going to be 54 times 3.14. And that, when I do that, it's got to be approximate. Okay, now I'm just going to do this little math right here. And I'm going to take that up here. So 3.14 times 54. Okay, here we go. 4 times 4 is 16. Write the 6, carry the 1. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5. 4 times 3 is 12. Now we're moving on to the tens place, so I have to put a 0 in the ones place. 5 times 4 is 20. Write the 0, carry the 2. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 is 7. 5 times 3 is 15. And then we add 6 plus 0 is 6, 5 plus 0 is 5, 2 plus 7 is 9, 1 plus 5 is 6, and then we drop the 1 down. Now we just need to figure out where we put that decimal place. There's 2 in the problem, so that means there's going to be 2 in the answer. So our area of the rectangle is equal to 169.56. All right, now we are ready to go ahead and figure out the surface area. So the surface area is going to equal the total of those two areas, the area of the circles and the areas of the rectangle. 56.52 plus 169.56. Now, I don't know what that is off the top of my head, so I'm going to go ahead and put that here. Remember, when you're adding decimals, the decimals always line up. 56.52. We're going to add these. So 6 plus 2 is 8. 5 plus 5 is 10. Write the 0, carry the 1. 9 plus 6 is 15. Plus 1, make it 16. Write the 6, carry the 1. 6 plus 5 is 11. Plus 1 would be 12. Write the 2, carry the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. So there we have our answer. It's 200, what did I just say? 226.08. Now, the answer, our problem, the directions say find the surface area of each cylinder to the nearest whole number. So this would be the whole number right here. So we look to this number to see if we're going to round this up or if it's going to stay the same. And for it to round up, it'd have to be a 5 or above, and it's not. So that means it's just going to stay 226 feet squared. That would be the surface area. And if you got that right and showed all your work and everything, great job. Okay, let's move on to our